are looking for ways to stretch our hard-earned dollars to the maximum. Whether the cause is inflation, nostalgia, or a combination of the both, it's becoming increasingly trendy to wear someone else's discards. Out of it all, a nationwide business is springing up to cash in on the boom. The number of used clothing stores has soared in the past few years, and owners are saying that yesterday's threads are selling as fast as they can be found, cleaned, repaired, and put on the racks. But it wasn't always that way. The Salvation Army, formed in England by William Booth to help the underprivileged, now has a whole different set of customers as well. I'm standing outside the Salvation Army, Canada's oldest second-hand clothing store. In recent years, used clothing has become much more than a cheap alternative for the needy. It has become both trendy and stylish for the fashion-conscious. Irv Spencer of the Salvation Army comments about this.
Yes, there are a lot more younger people than there have been in the past, I'm told, and I suppose there is a degree of fashionability there. But of course, for whatever reasons, perhaps even the older people are paying attention to fashion in the clothes that they select as well. But that's whether or not second-hand fashionability happens to be in at the moment.
Does it bother you that younger people are coming in when really, as you said before, the purpose was for people who needed a cheaper means of buying clothing?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, whether they're young, old, as long as they've got some degree of money, that's all I'm interested in, because the money, even though it's very little, we charge very little for used clothing here, is all used then to further the good work of the Salvation Army, which in essence is to help the poor.
Ottawa Neighborhood Services is another charitable organization whose thrift shops have been a traditional source of cheap clothing for the poor. They too have seen a recent change of clientele. Mrs. Halsinger explains why the service originated.
Just for help the handicapped, the needy. You know, sometimes people, a house get on fire and they need clothes, and for the handicap purpose, and we have lots of handicap working for our organization.
Do you find that the people who shop here have changed over the years? They become younger, or people that really aren't so much in need of the clothes and are just doing it for fashion purposes?
Well, I don't think they need so much clothes like they used to before, you know. Like today, before the prices was even more expensive. Now we are so low, and people only come in, I think, more for passing time.
Not all second-hand stores are well established, and not all were started with the underprivileged in mind. Many second-hand stores, such as Andy Upstairs, are opened with the younger, richer generation in mind. How much do people seem to be willing to spend? Do people come in and spend a lot of money, or are they cautious and really hunting for that one certain bargain?
Well, that's just about as varied as the types of people. I mean, some people surprise me, you know, with the amount of money they'll spend on a leather jacket or something. But
is it just a misconception people have that used clothing is necessarily less expensive clothing?
it should be. It really should be. Unfortunately, like some of the pieces here are really quite nice, and they could sell for the prices they do. I think it's fairly reasonably priced. It is definitely cheaper, but it's not a real bargain by any means.
What type of people usually come in here?
All types, secretaries, punks,
Looking around, it looks like there's new and old clothes here. You stock both those?
Yeah, there are certain lines that we stock. The boy line from England, shoes from Montreal, and leather jackets are new.
What's the most popular, the new clothing or the older clothing?
It's really different. I know the new clothing lines, they sell rather well, but the turnover is pretty well the same.
What about listening to the music and seeing all the posters on the wall here? Does the music of today somehow influence the clothes and what people are wearing?
Well, yeah, that's goes for more than just a clothing store. I'd say the music has quite a bit to do with the type of people we have. Although, it doesn't make sense. I'm contradicting myself.
retro fashion shops on the scene is Recherche, where the clothes range from day-to-day styles to Victorian styles. Why do you think there's this sudden trend towards second-hand clothing?
I don't think it's that much of a sudden trend. The rag trade's been going on since about 1890 in England. I go back and forth to England 5 times a year. Probably it just seems like a trend now because more people are admitting that they're buying second-hand clothing, and it's cheaper, it's more affordable, and new clothes are 800 to 1,000% markup.
What's the age group that you get in here? Do you find you get younger people in here?
My age group is from 6 years old to 84. The average would probably be in their late 20s.
Do you find that people come in maybe just to buy an accessory? I see you have a number of hats and a lot of jewelry. Do people come in sometimes more for that than for, say, a whole outfit?
Oh yeah, you know, we have sort of the cheapest pantyhose in town. We have a lot of jewelry, both good and costume, purses, and like you say, hats. Accessories are a big thing too.
How much would, say, just for example, a jacket or one of the hats cost? What would the price range be?
Hats are $1 to $14, and jackets are $6 to $18.
Allegro on the Byward Market is a perfect example of how used clothing is not only trendy to wear, but that used clothing stores are also trendy to own. Why did you decide to open it?
I thought there was a demand for this kind of clothing here in Ottawa, especially in the market area, since most of the stores are based rather on Elgin or Bank, and there was none on the market, so I thought I'd open one here and give it a try.
Why do you think all of a sudden there is the demand for second-hand clothing? Do you think it's because of the economy?
That, I think, has something to do with it, but mostly because of the clothes, the quality of the clothing, and the price of it appeals to a lot of the people, especially the 15 to 25 age bracket.
So do you think you're stealing business, so to speak, from, say, the Fairweather kind of stores from out of Ottawa?
No, I don't think so, because I don't seem to appeal to those type of girls who shop there and who shop in this kind of clothing store. They might come here more like as a joke if they're going to 50s parties or something, then they'll buy the clothing, but they're not the type of girls who wear it every day like most of my customers do.
Do people sometimes just come in here, say, for an item of jewelry and accessory?
Yes, they do. They might have bought a dress or something at another place, and they're looking for that special touch, the added touch of maybe an earring, shoes or something, because I carry a lot of pumps, some of the stiletto shoes still, and some of the purses, you know, beaded purses, which you can't find as much today.
Do you find that some of the people who wouldn't buy a whole outfit here do come in for that one special piece of jewelry?
Yes, they do, and usually they end up looking at the clothes and buying something else too.
One of the first second-hand stores on the scene was Paddlin Maddlin's.
It probably has reached its peak, you know, like I can't see too many more old clothes coming up.
Do you notice younger and younger people coming in to buy the clothes? It seems to be getting very fashionable within the last, say, 2 or 3 years.
Well, it's excellent for the younger people. I mean, these are the people who really should be into the old clothes. One, because their budgets are low, and they can put anything on top of anything else, and they can wear them torn, and they can wear them, you know, mixed up, and the younger people look best in them. And as for the retro look, I think it's dead. Like nobody, I'm not interested anymore as to make you know, somebody look like purely 60s or purely 40s or purely 50s, unless it's for a party or a show or a play, you know. The thing is that they never make the old coats as they used to, or the old pleated skirts as they used to, or the old sweaters as they used to, and this and that. So if you can find an old tweed coat for $10, then it's a find, you know, it's a treasure. But it doesn't happen that often anymore. You know, plus they are making quite a few great, well-priced new clothes, you know, so it's basically finding what new clothes are happening, you know, that are a bit refreshing. I mean, like something, I mean, even the new clothes have looked like a retro look for the past few years, and that's, like, I'm tired of that too, you know.
Meanwhile, young people are combing used clothing stores for cut prices to flaunt for pleasure. The motivation is a combination of economics, the nostalgia for a quality of workmanship no longer available, plus the desire to create an individual look by intermixing clothes of different eras. The return to inexpensive, functional clothing has made the second-hand clothing outlet a fixture in the retro fashion industry.